Then everybody can read this. Everybody, yeah. You see the power of human mind. Actually, we are very powerful. The mind is very powerful. Who said we have to learn spelling last time when we were young, yeah? Or every week have to learn spelling and then go to class and then go have some. I work with my boys, spelling tests and all that. And now people say not true. You don't really have to know spelling once the first word and the first alphabet and the last is correct. You can jumble up inside. So I just want to take this just to introduce you to this perspective that focus on human's mind. Yeah? And the way the mind can do a lot of things. The mind tells you what reality is. The mind tells you who you are. Okay, before we go into that, let's revisit this structuralism idea. Yeah? I showed you last week. I showed you this last week. This is Weber. Now I'm showing you something very similar to Weber, because I say this is micro perspective. So they are very similar to Weber, because Weber also micro. This is impressionist. We don't call them the agent, we call them the members. They are members of the society. They exchange, you see this exchange. I don't have this for you, can you write that down? Because these summarize the main perspective, the main concepts here. They interact. They communicate symbol or meaning. They take the roles of the others. Social expectation. Just like if you want to write anything about Durkheim, you must have something on social integration, moral regulation, anomie, egoism, functional analysis. You have to have those words. Yeah. If you write anything about Marx, which you're going to do after the lecture today, you're going to put together again and think of how you can analyze Marx, you need the words such as economy, capitalism, profit, alienation, division of labor. Those are very Marxist concepts. If you are thinking of this perspective and wearing this perspective lenses, you are going to think about interaction, symbol, meaning, take the role of the others, and social expectation. This will be the key concepts. And it's just straightforward. And before you go exam, that's what you want to memorize. Yeah? That Durkheim got these concepts. What they mean, you have to understand. But you're not going to go and write down what they mean. Yeah? You're going to tie it into a context, into a story. But you have to know, okay, Durkheim, these are the concepts associated with Durkheim. Parsons, this is a set of concepts. Marx, another set. For this perspective, this is a set. So if you remember these words, you get this perspective already. So we're going to go into this in detail. Social interactionism. This is George Herbert Mead, and the Bernard Thomas. You don't know Thomas. We are not going to look at him in detail. Yeah? Even this thing called pragmatism, I don't think you really need to know that. But just to tell you briefly what it means. Pragmatism says things are what they mean to people. Yeah? This class is easy or difficult. What is beauty? What is achievement? What is Singapore? What is your family? That's no fixed thing. That's no structured meaning. Meaning is what it means to people. You feel about this class differently. You feel about Singapore differently. You feel about your family differently. What is achievement? Has different meanings. So all these are what they mean. The meaning is always subjective. That's another word that you can say, there's no objective meaning, there's no social fact, there's no pattern, no structure. Okay? Things are subjective, meanings are subjective. Theory is linked with practice. Yeah? You have to sort meaning in practice. Meaning leads to practice. Yeah? What it means to you, what it means to you. Sociology is easy, then you bring to practice, then you tend to want to study it. Yeah? Also sort in practice. Meaning doesn't come up just automatically. It comes as you go in and practice. Later, all these practice, if you replace the word practice with instruction. Later on, social instructionists bring this idea and say, see, meaning comes when you interact with people. Only when you interact with people, now we are interacting now. Yeah? Meaning starts to pop up by you communicating to me, that kind of communication. And I take in the meaning. So meaning can be sought in practice. Now I am practicing or experiencing. Yeah? And what it means to me will guide my practice. Yeah? I will bring it and I will act accordingly. Alright, from these ideas, that say meaning is what it means to people, there is no fixed meaning, and you have to get meaning from practice, has inspired somebody like Thomas, this husband and wife, yeah? Famous Thomas theorem. This is the phrase that people usually remember. So you want to underline this? If men define situation as real, they are real in their consequences. Based on the idea of pragmatism, they say, if you think something is real, they are real. There is no actual reality. Reality is what it needs to be. If you define something as real, if you think society is real, if you think society is easy, it's easy. Yeah? If you think achievement means money, it means money. Yeah? So, if you define things as real, they are real. In your subject guide, yeah, they cite this case about a prisoner who attacked the people. He heard mumbling absent-minded to themselves. He interpreted their movements as curses or insults directly. If you define situation as real, this prisoner saw people mumbling to themselves. What is that those guys doing as name mumbling? We don't know why these people mumbling. But this prisoner interpreted to say they are saying bad things, they are insulting him, yeah? They are cursing him. So he attacked them, even killed some of them, based on the meanings that things have for him. If you define it as real, it's real. Yeah? So, you don't know why these people mumbling, but you think they are cursing you, that is what is real. Yeah? So, if you define it as real, it's real. This study, I gave you as example of textual analysis. Yeah? You remember for Polish peasant class structure, when the peasant from Poland moved to America and write back letters, and sociologists trace the letters, try to look for the meanings and the perception, how he interprets the situation, what the meaning, the movement to America, the situation there, what is the meaning that situation has for him. Yeah? So again, these are the letters that shows what he meaning by living there, how he interpret the situation right there as he moved to America. So, then this becomes an example of social interactionism. George Herbert. You remember him? You haven't seen him? Mead. Do you remember Parsons and Mead? Parsons and Mead. Macro, micro, very good. So this is micro. Yeah. Parsons and Mead socialization. Remember? Macro socialization is a process we learn pre-existing norms. Micro socialization is the process whereby we interact. Yeah, we communicate simple. Do you remember what else? Do you remember the I and the me? I and the me. Yes? Okay. So, approach to socialization, the process of interaction where language is used reflexively and taking the role of the others. Yeah. We were introduced to this guy, and that is the theme of today's lecture. The I and the me. Okay, this is his work. The book is called The Mind, Self-Exercise. This is his book. This is the book that he didn't write. He didn't write this book. He has not written a book. Yeah? But he was lecturer, professor at University of Chicago in America. University of Chicago has a very good sociology course. Yeah? Sociology is very famous there. So George Herbert, he got very good students. After he died, his students put up his lecture notes together and published a book for him to be called My Self-Exercise. So again, he was made famous by his students. Yeah? Just like Parsons was made famous by his students. Remember? Parsons students, very good students. Yeah? Okay. So, that is the word, My Self-Exercise. So we are going to look at what the mind, the self, and the psyche. The mind is thinking. It's inner experience. It's inner conversation. We talk to ourselves all the time. Yeah? What did I do that? Oh yes. Okay. You know, what she means or what she said, maybe she means this, maybe not. You know, we communicate with ourselves. That is a thinking process. It arises in the social process of interaction. There won't be any thinking if there is no stimuli. Correct? That's why babies, yeah, you want to take them out, you know, so that they have stimulus, yeah? With the stimulus, the brain starts to exercise, the mind starts to be active. So, there is no thinking without stimuli. For this perspective, stimuli comes in the interaction. Yeah? In the interaction with other people. Mainly because we are group-oriented and we always work in group. And say, as we are in a group, we start to interact with other people. So, then we start to think. We communicate, which involves gesture and symbols. Yeah. This perspective use the word gesture, symbols very often. Yeah. They don't use the word meaning very much. Meaning is something that we use as lay people. Yeah? Then they use the word gesture, symbols. Gesture, to be simple for you, is mean non-verbal communication. Yeah? Just like what we understand, gesture. Yeah? Just like I'm telling you, you always tell me something. The gesture carries some kind of meaning in it. Yeah? Yeah? Non-verbal, like that, waving, you know, means something, isn't it? Yeah? It means something. It has some meaning in that. Symbol, same thing. Symbol is something that carries on some meaning. For Christian, the cross is very important symbol. Yeah? The cross itself is probably a piece of wood, but it means something much more than itself. That is a symbol. The most important category of symbols is language, because language has a lot of meanings. spoken or unspoken language. Carry certain meaning. So the word gesture, symbols, language are the keywords of this perspective. You know? So when we interact, we exchange gesture, symbols, language. As people communicate to you something, the mind starts to be active. You start thinking. The mind makes us different from animals because animals doesn't have the mind. There's actually this perspective. They may have the brain. Surely, you know, animals have brain. We have brain. We are not talking about brain. We are talking about thinking process. Animals work according to stimulus response. When that is stimulus, that is predictable response. Yeah? If there is a piece of meat there are 3 dogs. Behavior of the dogs are predictable. Yeah? They will go and fight for that. Yeah? But if there is $100 and there are 3 individuals, you can't really predict what they're going to do because they got to think first. Yeah, I said dog, stimulus, response, predictable. Yeah, that's why you can do experiment with dogs because there's nothing that complicates the issue. With human beings, very hard because the mind intervenes between the stimulus and the response. We think first. The behavior is not automatic. Yeah? Should we take or not? Oh, maybe not. There are 2 other people there. Yeah? Maybe somebody leave it there. Maybe I should give it to the security or somebody give it back to people. No, but those people will take it. I might as well take it. Christmas is coming. I need money. You know, so there's a lot of communication and thinking process before we start to act. And that's why human being is not easy to study. That's why you can't do experiment on them because behavior is never the same. Between individuals and between time, behavior is not predictable. The mind can be studied scientifically. The word scientifically is used casually. It doesn't mean science. I think it means more empirically. You can study somebody's thinking process. You can study how John Fry ideas change into Jane Fry. That you can study. Perception of John Fry. I give you that example. You can study how come somebody changed his perception or his thinking or his ideas from I'm not mad into I'm mad. That is the study of their science. Which will come later. Okay, that is the mind. It's about the thinking process. The self, who we are, there are 2 selves. I, who you really are, and me, who you are because other people want you to be. The me, we call it social self. Yeah? The self as product of social expectation. They expect you to be student. You behave like a student. You may not really, genuinely like to do that, like to be that way. Yeah? Rising from gesture conversation, as you communicate and you exchange those symbols or those gesture or the meaning, yeah? Conversation or communication on the basis of symbol or gesture. Now, how do we move from the I to the me? The development from I to me moves on from play stage to game stage. Babies don't have the me. Yeah, babies. They will cry whenever they want to cry, when they're wet, when they're uncomfortable. They don't care how the parents will be. The mother is so tired. The parents already fighting because he cries so much. still cry. Don't care. There is nothing about social expectation. It's about the time. Yeah? Now, imagine, this baby now grow up, start play stage. Okay? Okay, let's name this baby Jane. Jane. During the play stage, Jane take on the role of significant others. Play involves imitation. So Jane take on the role of the mother. Yeah? Jane likes to put on mommy's clothes, her dress. Jane likes to put on mommy's lipstick, mommy's high heel shoes. And now Jane is mommy. That is the play stage. Yeah. Boys like to play with construction things. Yeah, because father always do like construction, nailing and stuff like that. Yeah. These help them. These help Jane understand that there is a difference between Jane and a mother. Yeah? This helps kids differentiate. There's an I and a me. Yeah? But they haven't taken on the me yet. Soon they will. But now they come to understand. There is Jane, there is a mother. When Jane, now bigger a little bit, Jane goes to a playground. Jane needs to play with other people. This is when Jane starts to recognize other people, generalize others, other people who are not very close to her. Yeah? And Jane needs to be aware of her relationship with other players. She needs to be aware there are other kids playing there as well. Yeah? And because other kids playing, she can't occupy the swing all by herself. She has to think of other people. She has to share. Yeah? And she cannot be selfish. People expect her to share things, expect her to play together, expect her not to be rude. Okay? So, you have to look at yourself in terms of other people's viewpoints and recognize the expectation other people have. In the game stage, just like when you play games, it's not about you really, it's about the opponent or other players. Yeah? You play chess game, you know the game of chess? Yeah, you want to win, right? In the playground, Jane wants to be liked, yeah? In a game of chess, you want to win. How do you win? Think of your move carefully? No. You have to predict the move of the opponent. Right? And if you can predict it correctly, that's when you win. Then you say, okay, probably the next move is going to do this, so therefore my move now will have to be as such. So you have to be able to predict other people's move. Yeah? In soccer game, same thing. It's really not about you. It's about the whole team. Yeah? It's about your position vis-a-vis other players. In your team and in the other team. So you have to actually, it's really not about you anymore. It's about other people. About how you work as a team, recognize the expectation, and their viewpoint and the rule of the game. This stage creates the me. I'm sorry, I don't have that. Okay, you may actually want to write down this stage, how to create the me. Yeah, just now I said the movement from I to me moved from play stage to game stage. At this stage, Jane becomes the object of the society. She starts to know that there is social expectation she has to conform to. there is tension between the I and me. Yeah, something that we really are, and something that society wants us to be. What is the society? The mind, the self, the society. Yeah? Society is nothing more than the game stage when people come together and then they interact, they exchange, they conform to people's expectation. That is what society is. That is the playground. It's a society. Yeah? When Jane started to interact with other people, when Jane tried to understand other people's expectation and try to conform to that. Now, the word the society and the whole thing here is absent in your subject line. I don't know why. Notice the subject line got the mind and the self, don't have the society. So I add this for you to make it complete. I think what the subject line say is that the important component of his work is the mind and the self, which is correct. Yeah, I told you just now, right? They don't care very much about how society looks like. It's more about how you create identity. But the book is called The Mind Itself and the Society. That's all about me. Exam question ask you to choose one. Define Mars, Weber, me. Usually me is included as one. So his theory is not difficult, but to score high, maybe not very easy. Yeah? And the only reason I told you probably you won't choose this one is because I told you this now, yeah? He probably can't help you with all the questions. But if the exam just asks you to like write about key ideas or write about contribution, that one you can use this. Do you think he's easy? Because he has never written a book. You know, he just have a lot of complicated ideas. These are straightforward. These are very sensical, commonsensical kind. That's why you find it easy. It's not something abstract like sui generis. Now, Mrs. Gosling has done a good job, right, explaining to you what sui generis is. Yeah? Okay, alienation, anomaly, and that kind of thing, it's complicated. This one is easier. Okay, another guy, remember him? Have we got him? Do you? Yeah.